There we go. So today I'm going to show you the most simple way that you can prepare your shower pan to do tile on it. 4 weeks ago we did a video showing a curbless shower failure, and after we did that, Bret hired us to do the rest of the project. So we ordered up this Tile Redi pan 4 weeks ago. It arrived about a week ago. We get a pretty fast lead time because we're signed up with the Tile Redi Pro program. But what I have here is a custom Tile Redi pan that we made specifically to the size that we needed. So the width, the depth, even the curb height and width we customized because I like a shorter and narrower curb than normally comes on these type of pans. I also had them put the new drain in it. This drain will accept the Flow Effects grates, which is awesome. I love it. Now I have access to hundreds of different grates to use in the Tile Redi pan. So we did a dry fit on it. It looks good. So let me grab my tools and let's get started. I'll show you how easy this is. So my college football coach had an acronym he used all the time, and it was KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. And when something would get too complicated, he argued that it made it more difficult to execute the plan. And I think this happens a lot in our industry, is we have way too complicated of systems and people get confused. I mean, is it a pan liner install? Is it a hot mop? Is it a Schluter-Kerdi? Is it sealed? All these different things that require different executions to do it. It just becomes too complicated. So we are using the KISS principle today. We're keeping it simple, stupid, and we're just gonna drop this Tile Redi pan in. Let's head inside and get started. All right, so this is Bret's house. If you remember, he had a contractor that he hired that completely botched this curbless shower. If you want to see that video, I'll put the link down in the description so you can see it. There were so many mistakes with it. Everything from red guarding directly to the plywood, trying to slope the whole pan with thin set and not mortar. There was no waterproofing on the walls. The shelves were pitched all weird. I mean, the water ran out and back this way towards the toilet. Just about everything that could go wrong with it could. After only 1 month of use, this shower was already leaking. So it's a good thing that he called us. He had a sinking feeling in his stomach that something was wrong. He called us, we came out and checked it out, said, yeah, this whole thing is wrong, needs it to come out. So we're going back in with a Tile Redi pan. And we got everything set up. So we got a good plywood foundation ready to go. We have our P-trap ready for a stub out. I didn't bring the pipe all the way up because I wanted to double check it with the dry fit and everything. But what we're gonna do, this is really simple. This is when you're trying to, if you're talking to your plumber, you know, how high to bring up the pipe, really simple. We're just gonna cut it right at the height of the subfloor. Let's use that pipe. I like to put a little bit of spit on there just to help lubricate the pipe so it seats all the way down into the hub, because when you put glue on it, it lubricates and it'll squish down farther into the hub than if it was dry. So this is kind of a trick you can use to get the exact line. I just have it, I'm using the plywood to kind of just guide that blue tape. And that's where we want to be. So this is, the bottom portion is where I'm going to make my cut so that it's flush with the subfloor. Let's go out and do that. All right, so I got some ABS glue here. Obviously, if you're using PVC, you want to use PVC. I like to go with glue on the hub and the pipe itself too. And then I just want to get this pipe set at the height of the subfloor, which it looks like we're right there. That's perfect. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah, that is a simple way of doing it. You just tell your plumber, I want the pipe right flush with the subfloor. Now this could also be a slab foundation. And as a matter of fact, using the compression style drains, that's one of the reasons why I advocated for it so strongly, is that with a crawl space, you can hook up from underneath. You know, you can crawl around in muck or whatever and get in from underneath. But if it's upstairs or if it's a slab foundation, there's no way to do that. So it's nice that they did this compression drain fitting for those instances where you don't have access from below. So it looks like my plywood is pretty level. There's a little low spot right there. I think anything within like a 3/16 of an inch is good. So level, yeah, it looks like it just dips down a little bit right in that little corner right there. So I might put a little horseshoe shim there. Let's see if it does the same thing. Yeah, same thing in the back. So it's just, and it looks like we got a low floor joist right here. I'll put a couple horseshoe shims. Yeah, but everything else is looking good. Back in that corner. Looks like that corner's a little high. Double check everything with my laser. I think that's going to be a more accurate way to do it. So I know that we're 0 right here. And I think what'll be easiest is if I make a little gauge. I can just make a little line on ground 0. So if this is my high spot, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a line on my margin trowel where that line is. Try not to block the laser. Okay, so now that line is right on the laser on my high spot. So now I should just be able to go around where I place the horseshoes. See, we're good there. We're good there. Good there. Looks like we should be a little bit lower here. I think an 1/8 inch would be better. These 360 lasers are awesome. It's shooting that laser all the way around. So that's a little bit better. It might even be a little bit less than that. Yeah, so it's actually only a 1/16 there. How is that? Is it really dropping off that much? It must be. 3/16 there, 3/16 there. And then this one is wrong too. This one needs to be... Yeah, I've found that the lasers, it's way more accurate for finding elevations than using your level. The levels, for one thing, it's a bubble and you're using judgment on it. Another thing, it's just more difficult to move it around. It's like that game of telephone when you're a little kid when they'd say a word, say a phrase, and as it went around the room, as each little kid whispers as it goes around, the phrase completely changes by the end of it. That's kind of how I feel about when you're using your level to connect the dots. It's usually off by the time you get back to the place you started. So that's a 1/16 there. Yeah, that's good there. I might use a 1/16, but don't even need to. Good there, and good there where we started. 3/16 in the middle, 3/16 in the middle. So thank you, Lance. I was here fighting with the level. I was like, oh, it'll be easy. And Lance was like, do you have the laser? I'm like, yeah, actually I do. So it's not like I could put these shims in and leave big old voids of thin set. You don't want to do that. But you can do it this way where if there's full coverage under it, throw these horseshoes in and that'll give you basically the game plan of where everything needs to go. So what I'm using here is a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch notch. You could probably use a sawtooth trowel. I've done some good testing videos using different types of trowels. Make sure to look for that video. We just did one last week where we showed the actual thickness of the bed after you comb and set tile on top of it. So with a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch notch, the actual thickness after you set the tile, or in this case pan, what does that bed compress down to? Those measurements are vital when you're setting the height of your plumbing stub outs or even your shower mixer valves. You need to know the actual depth of the bed of thin set. So make sure you go and watch that video. looks like I got just the right amount of thin set here. I like to use the 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch on the foam pans. It lays down a little bit more mortar than any of the other ones. And I got my margin trowel here. Margin trowel is always important to have to clean out your buckets and stir up your thin set. Okay, that aside. Where do I need more thin set? Right there. I'm putting a little more thin set in my low spots that I found with my laser. Ideally, you want to start with a perfectly flat subfloor. That's not usually the case where we find it. If it's that bad, if it's more than like 3/16 or 1/4 inch out, I suggest doing some self-leveler. If it's within that tolerance, you can mark out your low spots and comb more thin set in those areas, and that's what I've done here. So I have a high spot back here, and so I combed it thin, left a little more thin set in these areas here. So this is all ready to put the pan down. The nice thing with the compression drain fitting is that I don't have to glue anything before I put the pan down. We're gonna be able to just set that pan in. I'm gonna squish it down real good where I need it, set the rubber compression washer and the castle nut all from above. So this is really cool. I'm gonna go grab the pan and squish it in here. Cool. Okay. Careful. Okay, this one's a tight squeeze because we have some door trim that we have to go around. So I'm actually going to get it in here up high and then kind of walk it down like this. And oh. I think I got it. Let me see. There we go. And there we go. There we go. I like to give them a little squish. I'll start with my high point, which is right here. Really want to get that embedded in there. All right, that looks good. Let me just check. I'm going to check on the curb first. Yeah, we're right on level on the curb. When you're checking level on these, it's important to put the level on top of the splash wall. You see, we're right in the middle there. and not down on the pan itself, because you could be bringing in slopes into play. Yeah, so that worked out good. Eyeballing that thin set worked really good. And looks like we need to come down in the front over here, this front corner a little bit. Much better. Now we're right in the middle. So you can see by just squishing that thin set out there, it allowed everything to drop down where I needed to. So let's get this compression nut in here. Okay, so here, the components to this drain hookup, you see I got the drain where I want it right here. So this is the compression ring. This comes in different diameters for whatever pipe you're using. If it's ABS or PVC, it's the same. Cast iron is different and copper is different, so you do need to specify what type of piping you're using. But that just goes on the outside edge here. Just slips right on. And you want to get the compression ring all the way to the top of the pipe. And then this compression nut, this is the castle nut. It has little teeth in it so that you can put this key in and tighten it down. So try to center the pipe up. So I like to just get it started. And then once I get close, I'll try to center the pipe up a little bit just to make sure it's right in the middle. And then you can start the process of tightening it down. And even if you just have a screwdriver or something, that's a good initial set with that compression ring. And then this just locks right in. It can go either way. I think it actually goes this way. And a flathead screwdriver, and in this case I'm using a chisel, but yeah, that will tighten it down, and we are nice and tight there. Well, this thing's actually spinning a little bit. My chisel handle is spinning, so I need to get something. I really like to crank these down pretty good, so I'm going to get myself a flathead screwdriver and crank that guy down. All right, so yeah, I went and just grabbed my 8-in-1 screwdriver here, but that sucker is in there pretty tight. I don't know if I can even get it any tighter than that. Yep, nope, that's good. That's as tight as it's going to get. So that connection feels really good. I can't push it down or pull it up anymore. As you tighten that castle nut down, it squeezes down on the compression nut to form a watertight seal. This seal is it's been used in plumbing fixtures. This is what you use on like a cast iron or acrylic shower pan. That's how all of these are put together. And there's literally millions of them installed. Okay, so now that we got this connection done, I'm going to do a water test with this inflatable plug. We're getting this inspected by the County of Sacramento, so they want to see this flooded with water when they come in. So yeah, these are just inflatable test plugs so that we can test the connection. We're not really testing the pan because that's completely sealed, but we're testing the connection that we just did. This went super easy. Again, we didn't have to worry about what type of system we're using. Are we doing a pre-slope under a pan liner? Are we putting the board down into the mortar bed? Are we leaving it above? I mean, all these considerations that you usually have to make, we didn't even have to deal with. So I'm really happy with how all of this went together. And we'll get the wallboard up. We're going to be setting the tile next week, so make sure that you're subscribed so you can see the entire process of us tiling this shower for Bret. But yeah, I want to give a shout out to Coach Chappell, Sierra College in Rockland, California, for introducing me to that phrase. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. I guess I did a Wikipedia search of it yesterday because I'm like, wait, is this just something Coach Chappell said, or is this like something that people say? Sure enough, it's a term, acronym that was originally coined in the Navy in the 1930s, I believe. So yeah, Coach Chappell, thank you for instilling. I've learned a lot of things through football. You know, my son plays football now. He's a senior in high school. There were some reservations between myself and my wife about just the safety of tackle football in light of all of the evidence that's come out with CTE, head trauma, you know, repeated hits to the head. I mean, I took a lot. And if you ask me, would I do it all over again? That's a tough call. I don't think there's one right answer for that. The way I explained it to my wife and why I justified it and felt like it was still a good thing for me was the lessons that I learned through football. And I don't know if they're lessons that could only be learned through football. I think there's other things that could have brought me to the same place as football. But football was the one that was for me. And first and foremost, football is just hard. It's a very difficult sport. It consists of lots of hours of practice, usually in the middle of the summer as you're getting ready for the fall, practicing in really extreme temperatures, really pushing your body to the limits in training. That's just what it takes to be in football shape and be able to compete at the level you're competing at. Because if you don't, you'll end up getting hurt. It's a dangerous sport, so you have to have your body physically ready. The training that's involved in that is very difficult. So for me, I believe football taught me how to deal with very difficult situations and pushing my body physically and mentally through barriers that I didn't know I could go through. So there's that aspect, and then there was also the competition aspect in dealing with fear. Because I'm not a real big person, I often was one of the smaller people on the field. I think when I was even in college, I was probably 175, 180 at my heaviest, 5'8", 5'9", and there were some big dudes who could move and they could hit. So there was a lot of fears that I had to overcome with that too. Again, pushing myself past boundaries that were there. And so I think those two things, those life lessons that I learned through football have been really valuable for me in my professional career, my life. I would also say being part of a team, you know, being able to lead a team, lead by example, you know, and get people to be behind you in a team atmosphere, that has really allowed me to be successful in employing others and networking and working with other people. So I think for me, football, the pros outweighed the cons, and hopefully I don't have, you know, too much head trauma. I probably had, I don't know, 4 or 5 concussions through football, but the ironic thing is I think I had more concussions outside of football through snowboarding, skateboarding. I remember my first concussion was falling off of the monkey bars in elementary school. So I've had just as many concussions outside of football that I had in it. And not saying you should just go out and get as many concussions as you can, but you know, for me, the pros outweighed the cons, and that just made me think of football when I was thinking of Coach Chappell. Actually, Coach Chappell is pretty sick right now. I went and saw him last week, met with his grandson Bret, who I'm good friends with, but he's probably going to be passing any time, any day now. And so I kind of have a heavy heart talking about Coach Chappell. My grandfather coached Rex Chappell, Coach Chappell. So it's kind of a neat tree where my grandfather coached Coach Chappell in the 60s, and then Coach Chappell coached me. And so there's like this coaching family that we have. And yeah, I wish you all the best, Coach. I love you. And I love you guys. I love being your tile coach. We'll see you on the next video. Oh, all right. So my my what?
What are you doing with that?
Yeah. You know, that can make things go. How should I phrase that?